Hey, what's up guys, Kadachi here, welcome back to the channel. Really excited about today's video, got a crazy build for you guys. With the new 0.2.1 patch, we got a few new uniques and a few uniques got buffed. And we're going to be making use of two of those uniques today. It's going to be a Spire of Ire Spear Throw Deadeye, and we're also going to be using the Palm of the Dreamer for some crazy ad clear. I actually didn't plan for this build to turn out as good as it did. We're just going to be using Spear Throw as our main bossing DPS. It could also be used for ad clear, but Stormlance is actually, in my opinion, just a better tool for this scepter usage. The Palm of the Dreamer basically gives you permanent Gloom Shrine, and for those who don't know how to acquire it, you have to Vow Orb any of the new scepters that were dropped, and you have a chance for it to turn into the new Chaos Scepter. But with that being said, this scepter is so OP. It's definitely worth being a tier 0 unique, and I hope it doesn't get changed anywhere down the line. It just offers so much for ad clear purposes, and it does give damage for actual chaos builds. So I like that GGG really added this to the game. It basically turns any no ad clear single target skill into a ad clear machine, which is why we opted to just use Spear Throw and we have infinite mana. So, can't really complain. But enough talking about that, I want to get into the gear setup. Now, we have quite a bit to go over. You can skip straight to the skill tree if you would like to, but I heavily suggest watching this gear portion of the video because there's a few things that I want to go over that actually make the build work. So let's get right into it. So let's start with the main damage of the build. It's going to be the Spire of Ire, which recently just got a very good buff, increasing its flat cast damage by a very large amount. To get the uses out of this spear, you have to be able to generate frenzy charges, which could be seen as quite a task, since we are such a low crit ascendancy, unlike the Huntress, and we can't freeze or electrocute for our combat frenzy. But the key to solving that was actually getting a second spear on our weapon set 2, with the highest crit you can afford and attack speed, and using that as our main frenzy charge generator. We also run a Malice Scepter for critical weakness to help with that. We have our barrage set to weapon set 1 to consume all 7 of our charges and buffs only Spear Throw. So the first set is our main DPS and the second weapon set is for frenzy charge generating. So this is going to be the type of spear you're going to be wanting to look for. You just want the highest crit chance and the highest attack speed as possible. Damage doesn't really matter. You really just want the skill to crit. And you also want to try to get a double socket and put on gain additional frenzy charge when you gain a frenzy charge. I just want to take a moment to appreciate GGG for the runes they added. They really opened doors for a lot of build crafting options, especially when it comes to like different weapon sets. This makes weapon sets even better than before. So now my second weapon set has just even more of a purpose. But anyways, so yeah, definitely want to pick up one of these type of spears. It is important to mention that you can run Tangle Tongue in this build. I was going to mention this later on in the video, but I might as well mention it now. I prefer to not run Tangle Tongue and do this entire crit buffing setup because I like to run CI with my Roa, and you just have to put stun threshold on your boots as I mentioned in the last video, and you will never really fall off of your Roa. But you can just go the normal life route, stack life, no eternal you, pick up an Olrof's Flask. You can play that way if you really want to. You can also just not run Roa as well and just run Blink. You can play this however you want it. It's all up to you. Next, you can pick up any Malice Scepter you want, preferably max mana with mana regen and like Int to meet some stat requirements, but honestly it really doesn't matter. It's just for the Malice. So I have it double socketed with Presence Area of Effect. That's really helping with the low life setup we have going on. Next, you're definitely going to want to pick up a Ming's Heart. Best ring for any chaos build, it's just absolutely amazing. For your body armor, you just want to go for the highest defense as possible with Res and Spirit. Next, you're going to want a Deepest Tower, preferably with a Spirit Corrupt, and for the core, we're going to be using a enemies you curse have -4 chaos resistance, which is really helping the damage. For the amulet, you're going to want proj levels, resistances, and as high as defense as possible with Spirit. and you're going to want to anoint that with finality. For your ring, you can just get any high fizz damage ring. You don't even need the lightning damage here. Just go for the highest fizz and chaos damage with any attributes you need and resistances. For the boots, you just want the highest ES as possible. You can go for high movement speed, resistances, and stun threshold is mandatory for if you want to run CI Roa. Our scepter is going to be the new palm of the Dreamer, which gives increased skill effect duration, which helps for quite a few things actually. Gain extra chaos damage, which is really good for this build, and permanent gloom shine, which basically makes the enemy explode for 100% of their maximum life on kill. Another important thing to mention is that it also gives basically purity of chaos, which is just really good for reaching chaos cap, which is another reason why you don't need to run chaos inoculation in this build. For the belt, we're choosing ingenuity. It gives us like an extra 10k damage. You don't have to run this if you don't want to. You can take off ingenuity during maps, you can put on a res belt, however you wanted, however your defenses are looking. It's up to you. For the gloves, I was running Northpaw for the higher base crit, but I just decided to go for gloves with the highest fizz damage, ES, and resistances you can get. And you want to just double socket those with increased effective wizard, which is just really good for DPS. Here's the other belt that you can use, just triple res. You can get blast mana recovery rate, whatever other stats you want, strength, whatever you need for the build. Melting Maelstrom is actually super good for this build. It's actually one of the main reasons we're running Rapid Assault instead of just using Spear Stab for Frenzy Charge generation. But any mana that we spend is just converted to chaos damage, so this is just a really good have. And you can counter that not having any like mana being filled by just taking 3 points of mana recovery on a tree, and it's just a normal mana flask at that point. These are the two main charms that you would honestly really run for the build. You don't really need any of the other ones because you kind of add clear like a monster. You don't have to really worry about getting stunned. But freeze is honestly the worst part of the mapping, so if you can eliminate that, you're pretty chillin'. I wanted to show you guys another King of the Mist kill because I wanted to one, show you guys the defenses a bit, as we're actually pretty tanky for not having full Tailwind tree, for a Deadeye at least. And I also wanted to show you guys why I didn't include a Xescht kill, as he is pretty bugged for our skill setup. Now here's a Xescht kill. Now the problem we have with Xescht, and I think it has to do with the fact that he's floating in the air, is that, and I also don't know what other skills this affects. It definitely was affecting the lightning arrow build, but it wasn't as bad seeing as we were using lightning rod as our main damage. But for projectiles, they don't seem to always hit Xescht, at least for spear throw, that is. There's been many cases where I will throw my spear throw and they will fly in the air or they will miss, and it will not allow me to get the one shot off at all. This is a huge disclaimer. I do not really advocate one-shotting. I didn't have any intentions on this build one-shotting any bosses. It works perfectly fine as any normal spear build. You can literally just build the frenzy charges and throw the spear throw, and you will literally do a crazy amounts of damage. Here I wanted to give you guys an example of the single spear throw damage and what happens when the Xescht spear throw just eventually glitches out. I don't know why. Here I threw the storm lances and then it started glitching out, and as you can see they're all just missing and going in the air, and he's not taking any damage. I'm gonna submit this as a bug report to GGG. Hopefully this gets fixed, as it seems to be just an issue with just projectiles on Xescht. So hopefully that gets fixed later on down the line. So I didn't have as much time to do as much editing I did in my... So I didn't have as much time to do that much editing as I did in my last video to this video. I just really didn't have enough time. So I'm just gonna go over the skill tree here instead of, leaving it all nice and placed out for you guys as I did in the last video. I really would have loved to do that, but let's just get right into it. So starting with the Ascendancy, we're just going to be taking the first part of Tailwind for a little bit more evasion and skill speed. Point Blank for the projectile multiplicative damage by 20%, and we're taking the entire Frenzy Charge tree. This just gives us absurd amounts of damage for consuming Frenzy Charges. So these are pretty important. First, I'm going to go over the weapon set 2 nodes, and then we're just going to go over the rest of the tree. So I got all my Frenzy Charge nodes linked to weapon set 2, here, here, and here. And then we have a Megalomaniac with Dynamism. Very expensive, so I recommend you go for preferably the extra Frenzy Charge over Dynamism, but you want to get the extra Frenzy Charge. And we also have Dynamism for the extra damage and meta skill gain energy. And we're also going to go down here and take the skill speed node as well. As for the rest of the tree, everything else is mainly catered towards the main DPS weapon set 1. So we just want as much crit chance as possible anywhere we can take it. Low life setup here, getting more crit chance down here, damage here, crit damage bonus in the middle, just helping a little bit. We'll go up here and get the crit chance nodes. And we have it against the Darkness Time Lost Diamond with Spirit and extra damage as Chaos. I would go for the Spirit first. Get the Proj damage up here. And then we have a, what is it called? From Nothing Diamond with Resonance, so we can pick up the Chaos damage nodes here, which are really good. You really want to get that Resonance. And we're taking the crit chance and crit damage bonus here. Taking the extra Chaos damage up here and Withered on our weapon set 2, because we're using Rapid Assault to stack Withered. And taking the big ES up here. Got this extra int for reaching the stat requirement. Crit chance, more ES, and honestly that's really going to be it. Make sure to take the evasion tree as well. That's really going to be it for the tree. All in all, this was a pretty fun build to put together, and I hope it gets expanded on down the lifespan of this game. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and as always, there will be more build videos to come. As I said, this might be my last video for PoE 2 before the PoE 1 patch, as I probably don't have enough time to play with more of the things they added with the new update. But this won't be the last video, so do stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one.